Hello and welcome. My name is Saleh Al-Minji, CEO of Icon Traders, and welcome to the topical discussion of is Icon Traders Rate My Trades episode 15 the best thing to watch in the world? So, yes, episode 15, we're back at it again. And let's get started. So in today's episode, as you are aware, what we will be doing is we'll be going through all the trades that we looked through last week and how they progressed since I told you what to do. Yeah. As simple as that, so let's get into it. So the first trade that we're going to look at is USD MXN. So if you can remember exactly how this trade looked in the last week's episode, the screenshot's gonna come up on the screen now. You will see that over the period of the last week, we have seen some retracement in the markets, so let's get into it. So on the 30-minute chart, you can see that, so since the 3rd of September, we did see a decrease in the rates of the USD MXN. However, so over here, looking over here, we can see that from around 1:30 on the 3rd of September, we fell down to the downside of the Ishimiki cloud. Now what does that mean? That means we closed this trade. Closing this trade means that we weren't in this trade as we're looking at it as a buy. If we're looking at it as a buy and we close this trade, that means how much money did we lose on this trade? Zero, exactly. So now, as we can see here as well, so moving on, episode 15, I've just annotated this, and what we can do here is actually put in a horizontal line because I have spotted a price level. So if we come here and just plot that in there, what we can see is the market has reached another line of a price level, and now it seems to be bouncing around this level. So what I'm expecting now is for it to bounce around this level some more until it crosses to the top side of the Ichimoku cloud, and once it does, then it should continue to soar to a nice take profit of 20.5. So that's that for USD MXN, and let's keep it moving. So now EURNZD. So with this trade now, as you can remember, what I said in the last week's episode, a video, a small clip of what I said on EURNZD is going to come up on the screen now. The first currency pair that we're going to be looking at now is EURNZ. Annotate this quite some time ago, which is why it's fallen away from the entry point. In fact, it's not even an entry point, but this is just the point in which I've spotted this trade. So I'm going to leave this and also leave this noted box here so that when we do come back in future episodes, it's all here for you to see the progress of the trade. Now at this point, although I'm looking at EURNZD as a buy, I do not believe that it's currently going towards the top. However, that's why we've also got our stop loss. There we go. Okay, so 30-minute chart now, it has fallen to the downside of the Ichimoku cloud. So do not place this trade right now. However, put it on your watch list, and as soon as the candlesticks come back onto the top side of the Ichimoku cloud on the 30-minute chart, that's when you place your trade. And for this one, as you can see written in this box, we've got a nice TP of 1.78, which is around this level here, which was tested previously around the 17th of September 2018. Exactly. So remember that I said in that clip that although I'm looking at EURNZD to be a buy and to take us to a night take profit of around 1.78, right now is not the time, and I do not believe it will be the time until we go into the 30-minute chart and do see that the candlesticks cross over to the top side of the Ichimoku cloud, which has not happened yet. Let's go into the 30-minute chart and show you this very quickly. Okay, so right here, as you can see, as I said in the last episode, is not the time to be buying it, although it is time to be watching it and watching for that crossover to the top side. So as soon as that does happen, place your trade, make your money, you're welcome. Let's move on to the next trade. The next currency pair that we'll be looking at is EUR-USD. So as we can see here, this is where we were in episode 14, this is where we currently are in episode 15. And as you can see, I was predicting this to be a sell, and since I did predict this to be a sell, if you did sell it, you would have made money. I know this, I say this, I do this, yes. Moving into the 4-hour chart now, let's take a closer look as to exactly what is going on. So just quickly zoom out as well. Amazing. So here we can see, so this is once again just a closer look at what I just told you. So since then we have managed to earn, what is it, as you can see it says 100, and so basically like 120 pips, but like if you held it open till here, then you would have got 190 pips around, and so on and so forth. Currently, when we zoom in here, you can see that the candlesticks on the 4-hour chart have just gone back up to the Ichimoku cloud and have hit it. So currently we're not looking to be in it on this trade. As you can see here, if you're watching the 30-minute chart as well, you would have seen that the candlesticks crossed over around this point of 1.096. So that would have been the time to close your trade and secure even more profit and risk even less. So as I say this to you all the time, my strategy is pretty much solid in making sure that you don't lose money in long-term trades. It basically compartmentalizes your trades, so breaks it down into small parts. So even if you are looking at a very long-term position, you won't be stopped out with the small swings that do happen from day to day. But yeah, so let's move on. So that was EUR-USD, perfect, fantastic trade. Yeah, let's keep it moving. So GBP-AUD. So this one, once again, we're in a channel here, and what we can do here, let's just move into the 4-hour chart and see how this is looking. So yes, okay, so if you can remember how this looked in last week's episode, the screenshot's gonna come up on the screen now. If you can remember exactly what I said about this pair in the last episode, the screenshot of recording is going to play now. So for this one now, I've spotted a regression trend, and it has been going on for quite some time. We saw a drawdown to the bottom side of the regression trend, however now we have seen it has come back up. And 4-hour chart now, when we look at the 4-hour chart, we can see that we are currently in another triangle trend. So 2-hour chart, let's see what that's saying. And we can see it is looking like it's coming to the downside of the Ichimoku cloud on the 2-hour chart. However, because we're also in a regression trend, in a triangle trend, sorry, at this point, not an open trade. This is not an open trade. This is just a trade to watch. So if you can see that the candlesticks are within the top and bottom parameters of our triangle. So for this trade, all we're currently doing is just waiting to see if it does break through either side. So I've put here, I've spotted it as a buy with a take profit of 1.87. Now I've said that because of this regression trend. However, it is potential that this also might be a sell. Now why might this be a sell? This might be a sell if it does break to the downside of our triangle trend, and if it is, then once again, even if I am wrong, I am right, because what do? We roll with the punches, and as the markets change, we go with it. So that's just another trade, another currency pair to watch for now. Now GBP-NZD as well. So GBP-NZD, you will know that, yeah, so we did spot it to be in this triangle trend, and since then it broke through to the bottom of the triangle trend. Let me go into the 30-minute chart as well to show you exactly what I am talking about and exactly how accurate these triangle trends and price levels that I do input into my charts are. So as we can see here, so this is where we were in episode 14. This doesn't want to move. Let's just move this to the left, exactly, so it's on point. So this is where we were in episode 14. Since then, it broke down to the bottom side of our resistance line. It ran up it a bit and then dropped completely and fell away from it. When it did fall away from it, then later on it did decide to come back up to the top side of the Ichimoku cloud. Now, what does that mean? In the long run, because on the week chart we saw this regression trend, that means that as soon as it crossed to the top side of the Ichimoku cloud, and we are seeing it to be at the bottom side of our channel, we were looking to buy that. So coming back into the 30-minute chart now, here I've put entry point. So this would have been the point in which you would have entered this trade as a buy. And so it did enter, we did enter this trade as a buy, and it shot up and it did touch our old line of resistance, as you can see, because when you are in a triangle trend, then the old resistance becomes the new support. So yes, so this was the line of resistance and it came up and hit it again, and it was still acting like a line of resistance, and then it broke through to the top side, and now we can see it's acting as a line of support. However, the candlesticks are on the downside of the Ichimoku cloud. So for this trade, currently what I am doing is I'm still thinking about it as a buy, however, just not currently in this trade, and what I'm going to do is wait for the candlesticks to come back to the top side of the Ichimoku cloud, and as soon as that does happen, then even further looking for a breakthrough of this old support line, and once we get a breakthrough of this old support line, we should expect to see it to continue and fly to a nice take profit of around, what is it, 1.879. Amazing stuff. So yes, let's move on to the next trade. Okay, so GBP NZD. So with this trade now, so the GBP pairs, it's a bit frustrating to be honest, because the setups that I'm seeing with the GBP pairs do look quite attractive. However, Brexit, a mess. However, as I've said with my trading strategy, because you break up your trades, well, you should never be negative by massive amounts, because you're breaking up the trades and only trading the side the candlesticks are on the Ichimoku cloud. Brexit shouldn't be a problem for us, because we basically mitigated all risk there. So here with GBP NZD, when we go into the 30-minute chart, in fact, coming back out to the week chart, so if you can remember how this currency pair looked in last week's episode, screenshot's gonna come up on the screen now. Okay, so we were looking at this as a potential buy to a nice profit of around 1.98, this level here. Coming into the 30-minute chart now as well, what we can see is that, so we were on the upside of the Ichimoku cloud on the 30-minute chart, however we did just cross back down to the downside of it, which means around this, so on the 6th of September, which was today, 7 AM, this trade was closed. And now at this point, basically, once again, all we're doing is waiting for it to cross back to the top side of the Ichimoku cloud. As soon as that does happen, then we should be waiting for it to go to our take profit of around 1.98. Now, this is what I mean by even when I'm wrong, I'm right. Because with my trading strategy now, so coming into the 30-minute chart, as you can see, so although I'm looking at this as a long-term buy, I'm not currently in this position because we are on the downside of the Ichimoku cloud. Now, if some terrible news was to be released about Brexit and the British economy was to go down the drain, then although I'm looking at this as a buy, I'm not currently in this position, so I have no exposure in the market. So right now, whether it goes up or down, I'm not going to lose any money. And if everything was just come crashing down and terrible stuff, I was completely wrong in calling this out as a buy, I would still be safe because the candlesticks are on the bottom side of the Ichimoku cloud. And I would only ever trade it as a buy when it gets to the top side of the Ichimoku cloud. And when it does get to the top side of the Ichimoku cloud, my stop loss would be at the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. So there is barely any risk. If you would like to learn this strategy in depth, then you know what to do. www.icontraders.uk. You can head over there and find out more information about the Icon Traders course. However, let's keep it moving because that's not what we're here for today. So next currency pair. Okay, so USD CAD. So this is yet another trade that I called out to be a buy. However, over the course of the past week, it hasn't been a buy. Although it hasn't been a buy, even when I'm wrong, I'm right. Because remember, when trading, you're always looking at the larger picture, you're always looking at the bigger time frames. So let's just go back to the week chart and look at things with perspective. So our overall take profit here is around 1.35. So 1.35, 1.353. That is a very large take profit. And coming into the 4-hour chart now, you can see that over the course of the past week, on the 4-hour chart, the candlesticks were on the downside of the cloud. So this is where I spotted it as a buy, and it went up to here. So in fact, here, what we can do is, with this line here, in fact, what we'll do I want to just show you as clear as possible. So no, not this one, we're going to get rid of that. We are just simply going to put a blob up here so that you will see exactly what I mean when I can never be wrong. I know this, I say this, I do this. There we go. So yes, I've just put this blob here on USD CAD. So when we come into the 30-minute chart, you will see exactly where it is. So yes, as we can see, so episode 14, this is where we spotted this trade to be a buy. And since episode 14, we spotted it to be a buy. Let's just use this. Yes, so using the measuring tool here, you can see that since we did open this trade to be a buy, then it came to around here and we gained around 60 pips from it. But staying safe and using the rule of the side of the Ichimoku cloud, which is what my strategy is based on, you will be able to see that we remained in this trade to around here, which secured us around 50 pips before it closed to the bottom side, before it crossed to the bottom side of the Ichimoku cloud. As soon as it did, then we closed this trade and we just waited for it to come to the top side of the Ichimoku cloud again. So that is exactly how even when I'm wrong, I'm right. So as you can see, so like right now, this trade isn't going in our favor, but we aren't in this trade. It's a trick. Ta-da! So yeah, even when I'm wrong, I'm right. And if you would like to learn the strategy, then www.icontraders.uk. You can head over there and Bob's your uncle. But let us keep it moving. So next currency pair. Here we have USD JPY. So this one, we are currently looking at it as a buy. So on the week chart, you can see that it was within the channel, is within the channel, and has just reached the bottom of the channel. This past week, as you can see, that candlestick was quite solid. Moving into the day chart, you can see that, yeah, it's still following the same pattern, but what we would like to see is the 4-hour chart. So yes, so as you can see here as well, on the plus side of the Ichimoku cloud, everything is looking nice, sweet and dandy. However, when we come into the 30-minute chart, you can see that it's just crossed down to the downside of the Ichimoku cloud. Let's zoom out, and as you can see, so here we are here, episode 15. This is where we were, episode 14. If we just come here and use the measuring tool, we can see that on this trade, using the side of the Ichimoku cloud rule, you can see that we secured, in fact, a lot more than that, because we opened this trade here when it did cross nicely to the top side of the Ichimoku cloud. So that is around 90 pips. And then, so at this point, once again, as I say, just wait for it to cross to the top side again, and that's when we shall resume. So yes, that is that. CHFJPY. So now with this one, let's just zoom out and let me show you the bigger picture of what I'm expecting to see with this currency pair. So yes, if we backdate it to around August, July 2016, you can see that the rate was playing around 104. So that was in 2016, and as you can see now, this was the next highest price level. Now, right now we have broken down to the downside of this previous price level, which means that we are currently going towards the rates in which it was in 2016. What does that mean? When you come into the 30-minute chart now, you'll be able to see that yes, we've just crossed to the downside of the Ichimoku cloud again. And on the 4-hour chart as well, you can see that we just did cross to the top side of the Ichimoku cloud. However, it seems as if it's coming to break down to the downside again. Now, normally when currency pairs enter the cloud, what tends to happen is it tends to play around that level for quite some time. So that is why what I just did with this trade today that we placed, for all of you in the signals chat, you would all be aware, it's Friday and we placed a sell on CHFJPY, a very short one, and took our profit very quickly. And that's just because of the 4-hour Ichimoku cloud that we're not really trying to mess around with, because right now what I'm expecting is for it to play around in this level, and as you can see it's just on top of this support line as well, so waiting for the breakdown of this level, and once it does, then we shall continue to plan to sell this trade. So yes, now these are all the currency pairs in which we looked at in previous episodes, and now I would just like to take you on to two more currency pairs that I have seen to be good opportunities. So yes, EUR UAD. So as you can see on this one, we are in a nice regression trend on the week chart. This has been, EUR AUD has been in a regression trend since around early January or late January 2018. So that's when we entered this regression trend, so I do trust it. And moving into the 4-hour chart now, you can see that we are also nicely on the downside of the Ichimoku cloud. On the 30-minute chart, when you come into the 30-minute chart, you can see that we're also on the downside quite nicely on the 30-minute chart as well. So this is a very good trade. You can place this trade right now and you would be able to get away with placing a nice take profit for this trade of around 1.6. And when you do take that profit, think of me, because I told you, I know this, I say this, I do this, yes. So moving on. Last but definitely not least, so EURCAD, this is another trade that I do believe you would be able to place right now very comfortably. So as you can see, just like EURAUD, this one has also been in a regression trend for quite some time, but even longer, because this one dates back to around the 15th of April 2013. Moving in to the 4-hour chart now, just like with EURAUD, you can also see that we are very nicely on the downside of the Ichimoku cloud. And 30-minute chart now as well, you can see that everything seems to be pointing in the right direction for this trade. What does that mean? Place it now. Don't waste time. I've told you, I'm trying to make you money here. I'm giving you free advice. Take it. I know this, I say this, I do this. Yes. Now at this point, I've given you everything that I'm thinking about the markets, and I actually do not understand why you're still watching this video. Go do something with your life. Go live your movie. Go be great.